Hello everybody, a marvelous Monday for those of you who are joining me this evening in the Southern Hemisphere, and to those of you that are just starting your day in the Northern Hemisphere. I hope that you have had an incredible start to your week and that you are ready for tonight's session. So as you jump on, make sure you click the like button and let me know where you're listening in from, whether you're tuning in from Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, America. I always really love knowing where you are tuning in and where you are listening from. So tonight I felt like I wanted to share with you about the power of regrets and the power of should've, could've, would've, didn't. And what I want to start with is the movie from the 90s with Gwyneth Paltrow called Sliding Doors. Now, if you haven't watched it, I will try and not give away too many spoilers. And I might have to quickly jump off because someone's collecting something, so we'll see how we go with the timing. So Sliding Doors was a movie in the 90s and Gwyneth Paltrow is the main character. And what happens in the movie is a series of events take place, and what happens is there's a particular scene where Gwyneth Paltrow has a sliding doors moment where if she gets onto the train, life takes this course, and if she misses the train, life takes this course. And we get the beauty of the omnipresent, that we get to see how both lives play out. So what we see is when Gwyneth Paltrow catches the train, she is made aware of a lie and a betrayal, and you see how her life changes and how she reinvents herself. But you also get to see what happens if she misses the train, unbeknownst of the lie and unbeknownst of the betrayal, and you get to see how life goes through its motions. Now, in our lives, we don't get to see both sides of the coin. Now, there are scientists who have spent, are spending, and will spend all of their life trying to prove the existence of parallel universes. Now, for some of you, this is a bit woo-woo. For some of you, this is a bit science fiction and it's a bit out there. However, there are scientists and there are professors who are dedicating their lives to trying to prove that parallel universes exist. The idea has been explored in Doctor Who, and it's definitely explored in Sliding Doors. So the theory is that every decision we make, there is what we do and what we don't do. And the theory is that in a parallel universe, another version of us is living out the decisions that we don't make. And the thing is, what can happen is the decisions that you don't make, the opportunities you pass on, the things you say no to, the relationships you don't get into, the relationships that you end. You can live your life with regret, and you can waste your life thinking, what if, what if, what if? Now, for a very long time, I was really angry at my dad being killed in a work accident when I was 16 going on 17. And I know the Sound of Music song always pops into my head too. And for a very long time, I was really angry with my dad. Why did you leave me? Why did you abandon me? And for a really long time, I couldn't see why universe took my dad away from me. I couldn't see the big picture. I couldn't make sense of it. And then it was about 2 years ago that I started to look on everything that has happened in the past 15 years since my dad went to whatever is after this. And what I realized was there is no way that my stepmom would have owned our family home and been able to give my brother stability. I realized that there was no way my stepmom could have bought my first car for me. I realized that my stepmom may never have discovered her love for cruising, and therefore I never would have discovered my love for cruising. I realized that I may never have moved to Melbourne, and I may have missed out on meeting Matt. I realized that I may never have gone into aged care and done allied health assistance, or even contemplated doing personal training, or moving into state. I really came out of my shell, and I really experienced things because my dad was 39 when he went to whatever's after this. And for me, there's been a lot of my life that I have wasted, that I lived under a rock, and I did miss out on opportunities. And there was definitely a significant amount of time that I was like, oh, what if? But on my journey of self-discovery and doing my mindset reset, I've really been trying to look at circumstances and situations in a completely different way. So instead of me focusing on what I missed out on, instead of focusing on what was taken away from me, instead of focusing on what I lost, I really try and look for what out of this situation, what beautiful things came out of this incredible, set of events. And would I own my own home? Would I have done the travels that I've done? And that's another thing. If you focus on who you may or may not have been in a situation, if you allow it, that can eat away at you. And you can think that you're a terrible person, and you can easily self-hate on yourself. So that's another thing that I've been working on as well, is really self-loving on myself and really being proud of what I have achieved, and really owning the decisions and really owning the lessons learnt from decisions that I've made. So how do you go from self-hating? How do you go from what ifs? How do you go from being regretful? Because I feel like, sorry, my housemate's cooking and I have a very sensitive fire alarm. So I really feel like there are women that hate on themselves for having an abortion at some point in their lives. And I really feel like there's some women that hate on themselves for putting a child up for adoption at some point in their lives. I really feel like there are women who hate on themselves for not leaving a domestic violence situation earlier than they did. And I really feel like there are men also that, you had a one-night stand with someone and you wonder if you missed out on the girl of your dreams. And sometimes you wonder, maybe you've watched a movie about a one-night stand and the girl had a baby, there's guys out there that you wonder if you've got kids out there. My uncle was one of those guys. My uncle lived his whole life. He got married, he had children, and then one day, out of nowhere, this girl comes along and says, "I'm your daughter." And he's like, "Excuse me?" And she's like, "This is my mom, this is what happened." And lo and behold, you know, he's got this daughter and she's married and they've got kids, and, you know, he missed out on this, you know, child's entire life. And is that something that he dwells on? Is that something to regret, missing out on that? And that can eat away at you. But instead, you can focus on the fact that you do get to have that person in your life, and you do get to have a new relationship created. So what you need to do is the situation that's eating away at you, the situation that's gnawing at you, the situation that you have regrets about. Try and have a look at all the good things that came out of not saying yes to that opportunity, not saying yes to that job, not saying yes to that relationship. Have a look at the good things going into something and stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying something new and trying something different. And with self-love, if you have self-hated on yourself for a really long time, self-love is quite challenging. You need to start with little things. There are little things that you do love about yourself. You love your eyes, or you love your hair, or you love your wrists, or you love your jewelry, or you love that you're kind and caring and thoughtful and compassionate. And then as you start feeding into the things that you love, you can start finding more things to love about yourself. And it's not narcissistic to love yourself. It's not egotistical to love yourself. Because as RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anyone else? Can I have an amen? So when it comes to should have, would have, could have, didn't, you need to think and focus on what good actually came out of the situation. What did you actually do? What did you actually achieve in the situation? And that's what I'm loving about watching Running Wild with Bear Grylls. Each celebrity has their own backstory. They have their own trials that are now their triumphs. They've, you know, each got their own messes that they've come out of and is now their message. They've each gone through tests, hey SJ, and they've now got their testimonies. They've each been victims of certain situations and now they're victorious and they have a story to share. And I love that Bear asks really interesting questions, and I love that to date, the episodes I've watched, there hasn't been a celebrity that's been like, nah, I'm not answering that on camera. Like, every celebrity has been so open and honest and so real and so raw, and really showing parts of themselves that you may not have seen in any of the, you know, talk show interviews. Thank you, SJ. Played around with my eyeliner pencil today. Bit of a smoky eye. So what I love is that each of them have fears and each of them have vulnerabilities. And, you know, the thing is, should they go on the show? Shouldn't they go on the show? You know, what will people think of them for being on the show? What would people think of them if they turned Bear Grylls down? What if they couldn't do what Bear asked them to do? What if they could do what Bear asked them to do? What if they did what Bear asked them to do? What if they didn't do what Bear asked them to do? And the thing is, every challenge, whether they're in Panama or they're in Sardinia or they're in Norway or they're in Switzerland or they're in Arizona, Bear is always there holding their hand and guiding them every step of the way. He knows that they're scared. He knows that they're afraid. He knows that they're like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know. I'm not sure. But he's like, one foot in front of the other. Just one hand up, one foot up, just one hand up, one foot up. And they get to the end where they've rappelled down a cliff, or they've climbed up a cliff, or they've, jumped across a bog field. And they're so proud of themselves for stepping outside of their comfort zone. And at the end, they're always like, thank you, Bear. Thank you for, inviting me. Thank you for this opportunity. And as I said, when you step outside of your comfort zone, when you are willing to be open to the things that you can do, it's so much fun. So I want you to start writing down a list of things that are eating away at you. They're gnawing at you, they're bugging you. And I want you to really start making a list of good things that have happened by you taking a chance, by you not taking a chance, by you taking an opportunity, by turning an opportunity down. As I said, losing my grandmother at the start of the year was really hard. However, losing my grandmother has freed my auntie and uncle, that my auntie and uncle can now be a married couple, and they can just be a married couple, and they are free to not be full-time carers. They can just be a loving husband and wife that are living for each other, because they've dedicated the last 10 years of their life to my grandmother. And in actual fact, they've actually dedicated 15 years of their life, to my grandfather and my grandmother, and then the last 10 years to my grandmother. So for me, my auntie telling me that, they're going to pack up and they're going to move and they're going to go to, live somewhere else closer to other family members, I'm like, go, do it. This is your time. And, they were really scared of what I would think. And I'm like, no, do it. Go. I can come to you. I can still visit you. And my auntie was so sweet. She's like, oh, you can catch a plane to Sydney and then you can catch a plane. I'm like, don't you worry. I am not going to be a stranger. It's all good. I will forever love my auntie and Uncle SJ for taking care of my grandparents and giving my grandparents an amazing life and allowing my grandmother to leave this world in her own home. It was such a beautiful thing, and I'm so happy that they are now free to do things that they've missed out on. And that's the thing about should have, could have, would have, did. You have to start embracing being outside of your comfort zone, and you have to stop having regrets, and you have to stop having what ifs. And I know that it's hard. I know it's challenging because everyone tells you to, stew on the things that you've done in your life. There's lessons to be learned. But there's lessons to be learned in letting go. There is lessons to be learned in releasing regret. There is lessons to be learned in empowering yourself to be the best version of yourself, to live your best life, and to have what you want. Hold on a moment. Mm-hmm. not yet. I'm waiting for someone to pick something up. It's all good. So I challenge you, write down the things that have been eating away at you and focus on the good things that have come out of not taking an opportunity, not saying yes to something, or leaving situations. Because the things that allow to eat away at you, turning them around and finding the silver lining is what is going to allow you to be the best version of yourself and to have that empowered transformation. So I want to thank you so much for joining me in tonight's session. I really do hope that you got value out of it. As you know, I never pre-plan the next day's session, so I do look forward to joining you tomorrow night and that's okay, SJ, but I want you to explore every aspect of it. I could talk your ear off about my toxic life and past, but there are lessons to be learned. And if you need help to release and if you need help to let go, send me a message. There's some great activities that we can do to release and let go. So have a fantastic day for those of you who are just starting your day, and have a marvelous evening for those of you that it's night time for us. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you tomorrow. As always, be safe, be well, much love.